Hey guys, my name is Adam Liebros. I am the current head of talent at Clear Talent Group, Los Angeles. I've been there for about 4 years. I came over in the middle of the pandemic. So, very interesting time to join a new company. And yeah, I've been there for 4 years. My main focus, just to, I can discuss many of topics, but my main focus is TV and film. That has always been where my focus has been. I've been in California working in Hollywood for 15 years. So I have seen many of shifts, many of new waves of the town, gone through a pandemic, which you all have as well as actors and individuals, and now we're on the other side of that. So yeah, I'm here to discuss. I'm going to start off, I think, with the social media angle, um, where as it pertains to, now keep in mind what I'm going to kind of discuss would be as it pertains to just acting as well, but also how to, like, build your brand in a way where through the digital space where it could help out your um, TV and film. So I imagine, all, ages, regardless of, what you guys bring to the table, are on social media in some capacity, whether it's for your YouTube channel or your Instagram or TikTok for that matter. From what I have gathered, the you know not really for smaller like co-stars or some guest stars, but like anything juicy where it's like a series regular or a studio movie getting behind that, they do kind of check in with your social media. So I think, in anticipation of booking that big role or doing something, I think taking kind of giving it attention early on is a smart thing to do. Now, pending on your brand and your direction, um, posting every day, sure. I mean, that's going to be a personal thing. I'm not going to sit here and advise on that because sometimes it just you know, doesn't make the most sense. But I do think doing it in a way that's like professional, but also just builds out your brand is a smart thing to do, in anticipation of when people start checking on it, you're already established, even a small little following, which is not a bad idea. Now, how you gain that following, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know the answer to that because there are 9 million ways to get that. But yeah, I think giving it some thought is a solid plan. And in regards to just TV and film, if we can, kind of move towards that because it's a good segue in discussing about that. I kind of want to see, and you can just show me by like nodding your head or whatever, because I can see all your faces. I imagine that most of the auditions that come through to you guys are either self tapes or you're self submitting. Would that be what's happening? Okay. So have you guys had the opportunity to do like a Zoom appointment in any capacity where you're zooming with someone else? Okay. So there is, just to give you a like kind of a heads up on that, there is that out there. So just know that there is a world where this, is kind of how a audition could happen. And I think it's interesting, even if it's not in your world just yet. I think it's good to know how to prep for that because it does. Let's say you self tape for something, whether it's through your representation or it's self submitting, which both are solid ways of procuring opportunities. The next step could always be a Zoom session, whether it's with producers or whether it's with casting again because they want to rework, something you did, or they want to just like honestly, they just want to play. And I think that takes like it takes a understanding and a confidence to just understand the subject, whether it's a film, whether it's a movie, TV, or it's a mini series, or even like a web series, and they just give you the script or any material. I think knowing it and being able to go into that Zoom or that session and be able to like take notes and play is going to give you a stronger position to make fans through the casting directors and or book the job, which are the two things that you always want to do. As reps, we always tell, our actors that it's important to, obviously we all want to book the job, but it's super super important to also win the room. And sorry, I thought the sound just cut out there. So even if you don't book the job, as long as the casting director is someone who walks away from that session and they're like, oh, this person was great, and though they're not right for this, they keep you in mind, because that stuff doesn't go away. Win the room, make the fan, and then that will carry over, because also simultaneously these casting directors may have multiple projects at the same time. So they could be reading you, let's just say they're reading you for, NCIS, but at the same time they're casting another show that is something you didn't, audition for at that moment. But they see you and they're thinking like, oh, he could or she could be right for this. So I think that is something super, super important to keep in mind. And I think also, I'm curious, and you guys can write it in the chat. Have I mean, the majority of your self tapes, are they, for films or TV? I think that will really help me understand, by a show of hands. Is it mostly film, mostly TV? So TV, raise your hand. Okay. Films, raise your hand. Okay. And then in regards to the others, I think it's just, to be honest, it's preparation. I want to just lean all the way into that. And the ability to not be given a note and have that throw you off. Like if casting director or anyone you're reading with, gives you a note, and to digest that, take a moment and then be prepared to play, I think is a really, really good just thing to understand before you go into that. And to that point, I think if I can flip back, because it seems like the majority of you are playing in this self-tape sandbox. When you are submitting for, it doesn't matter what it is, if it's a film or a TV or, student film, don't be afraid to take risks with your tapes. Whether it's, do the first take of what it is on the page, and then the second one, just play a little bit, have some fun. And whether you're doing, I'm not going to say do like an insane amount of improv, but I think if you do, a little more, add your personality to it, and then send that as well in addition, I think there's extreme, extreme value in that. So that would be probably the biggest note with the self-taping, because it is, from my side of the equation, it is hard for, sometimes actors don't know. They're like, okay, did they watch it? Did they not watch it? And that void is sometimes, you know, you don't know, you just have to trust the process. I can tell you from just experience in the high profile world of TV and film, everything is getting watched. So if it's a smaller thing, whether it's, a student film or whether it's a pilot presentation, your tapes are definitely getting eyeballs on them. So don't, I know it's like over and over, some self tapes may be like, okay, it feels like a little bit of a void. And that feeling is something that once you hopefully hear someone tell you otherwise, hopefully that is instilled with you. And just know that, yeah, it's whether you hear back or not, it's still, you can't control that. You can only control in this business, no matter where you are, what part of, the world you're in, or, if you're trying to get into Hollywood or you're currently in Hollywood, you can only control so much. And just like, as an agent, I can only control so much. I like to believe, that I can, maneuver people and control many of things. But the reality is, you can only control what you can control. So you need to take a stronghold on that. And that, for the actor in your position, would be putting the best work out there, sending multiple options, giving them a chance to see all the flavors that you can bring to the table. I think those two things are good. And also just, just being extremely proactive, whether that is, workshops, classes, things of that nature, I think are super important. I don't know where all of you are located, if you're, around the US, international, but there's definitely even little things like that, because relationships are beyond important, and you don't know who is going to be connected to this person or who's going to be connected to that person, and that could help in the long run and also in the short run too. So I think those couple facts are really like the groundwork of how you can start off your career on the right foot. um Trying to think what else being, so i'm just gonna I'm going to open it up, um, just in that part. Basically, anything I said, we can do, some questions here, um, and I can elaborate on certain things that I've discussed. And also, by you asking questions, it'll give me a good idea of where you guys are all at, because I see a lot of different, ages here too, which will only help. I don't know if Jeremy, you want to facilitate that, or you want me to just call on people. I'm
Yeah.
good either way.
If anybody has any questions, you can raise your hand based on what he's talked about so far, and then we can kind of go from there. No one has any questions?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Miguel. I think you're on mute.
Oh, Miguel, you're on mute.
Hello.
There you go. There you go. You figured. There we go. We got there.
Hi. My question was like, if we're going to do like zooming, um, it will they tell us what they require to send, or maybe it's related to like the video more than the zooming? Is it when they tell us what to send? The, can
You're saying like the material?
Yes.
Okay. So the sides, yeah. Like let's just, we can walk through this. Like, so you're saying you get an appointment through, the platform, and you get the sides, the pages, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. So you would get that, and then I'm just asking. So then your directions would be to send back those pages, correct?
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, so given that, if that is the, you know, the directions that are presented in front of you, so my advice to you would be do do a few takes, give them a few flavors. You know, you don't, if you only send one, you're not, you don't know, like, if it's, you don't get to leave it all out there because it's not like an in the room thing where they can give you tips. So if you throw multiple opportunities for yourself in the mix, you have to think that you increase your probability. So take a few risks by, on the second take, throw a little, you know, a different type, a different, I'm not saying go like different accent or like, you know, totally different character. Like don't go completely in left field, but just a little different flavor. Even if it's like, you know, a just a look or like just an attitude adjustment or something, a shift. Just feel the freedom to just play in the second version of what you're sending over. The first one, do it how you think they want it on the page. That's fine. More, you know, less risk. Second one, have some fun. Throw some risk in there because honestly, at the end of the day, they may not know what they want. And what you do and your instincts may be the exact thing that they want. So, like I said, the only thing you can do is really try to control the narrative as much as possible. And that is you taking a tiny, tiny piece of a little bit of control for your own work.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else? Okay. So now that I kind of have you guys, I'm just curious because I imagine you guys are all in. Are the majority of you guys international? Or you US?
US.
US? Okay. Jeremy, is that the case here, or is it pretty
So
widespread?
yeah, they're kind of all over. We have some in Puerto Rico, some in Singapore, some in Europe. So it's literally all over right now.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. Amazing. Great. So I'm trying to. So we did the self tapes. We did, you know, went over the Zooms. We can. I want to go into how to like combat your nerves. I think, you know, we all get into a situation where we, you know, feel before an audition. I imagine, I'm putting myself in your shoes. You know, you get the appointment and you're like, hey, you know, we're all itching to book this job. And whether it is a small job or whether it's a big job, I mean, I imagine those butterflies are what everybody is. Yeah, we're all feeling that. You know, it's just, it's natural. But I think that excitement is what separates this from any other opportunity, any other career. You know, you kind of get that, you're put on that stage in a way, even down to the smallest of capacities with the audition. And I think you kind of have to like learn to embrace that instead of be fearful of it. You know, once you can look at that fear and be like, okay, so if I'm getting this fear, that means something is happening that's good. Some opportunity is coming my way that is super positive. You know, you're put in a position to get nervous or, you know, get a little excited, but also like, okay, this is happening, this is big, like, you know, this is great. So you just have to look at it through the right lens of, okay, these nerves are good. I am, you know, getting an opportunity to express myself through these characters and to also show people like, hey, what I've been training and practicing for, and now is my opportunity to showcase that. And yeah, it may come with a few you know, nerves or, you know, butterflies, so to speak, but yeah, I think that is something where through the right lens, look at it like this is a good thing. Have any of you guys experienced that recently and it's made you, rise to the occasion, or you've let it like, you felt it was too much? Has that happened to anybody recently? Yeah, I see Warren raising his hand. Yeah, I would like to hear. I would like to hear about that. And would you mind sharing?
Oh yes. I have to say, like, as far as rising to the like occasion, it's like the nerves, what you said. Um, Recently, I guess it's more like on a not like a big stage or whatever, but I have to say, as far as just like the photo shoots I've been in, not too long,
Sure.
because I took a little break from them, and then when I came back, I was like I was feeling a little nervous, but whenever like it came time, like just rised up. I don't know, it just went away, like all the nerves and everything. And it was, I don't know. I guess that's like a little bit I felt of what you was talking about.
No, I think to your point, and I think, us talking about your experience can in turn help, the others in the group, because this is, you know, whether you're just focusing on like acting, the job of acting and creating characters is putting yourself, in another person's shoes and trying to, become that character. And to your point, yeah, you took that, and yeah, you were met with like, okay, I got a little feeling in my stomach here, and it's like it's the good nerves.
Hmm.
So how did that? If I'm just curious, did you? So you took that experience and from a modeling, shoot or something, and you kind of like embraced it. And you were like, okay, let's let's go. Essentially, you're like, bring it on, and then you used it in a positive way.
I guess I kind of developed like that feeling of getting used to it back when I used to play sports. So I was always like before big game, you feel nervous, and then when the game comes, it's just it's just like you locked in and focused. Like it just goes away once you start. It's like once you start, it all goes away. But leading up to it, or even on like runways for me, like leading up to it, and as soon as you go on stage, it's like, oh yeah, it's nothing. On that feelings. I guess
No, I
a
I
little
think it is.
over the years.
I totally think that is on par and absolutely a exactly what I was talking about. Where once and then once you're like on in showtime, it goes away and you forget about it. And it also is a when you get those feelings, you kind of do like a little if you get those feelings and once you get to a place of like being able to harness them, and that takes time, and there's nothing wrong with that taking time, but it gives you an opportunity to kind of do like a little checklist in your head, because you're like, you're thinking about things and you're like, okay, let me run through it, make sure I'm prepared. And then when it's like, curtains up, or, you're about to hit the runway, or, you're being called to set, or even an audition, even when it's like right before you record an audition, the nerves can happen. And I think that's okay. I totally think one should embrace them and understand that even the most famous people in the world, they probably get the same thing. Like it's just it's everybody. So don't feel that it's just like just happening to you. So I think that is definitely the right lens to look through. Trying to think. Any other questions while we have a minute here before we go on to the next thing?
I have another question. So
Sure.
because you spoke on it, you said so there's always whenever you go to audition or when you submit stuff, it's always being watched, even from your social media standpoint, as far as acting. So do you think, because I was asked to be in like a short film that was non-speaking role, or like a short film was like non-speaking, like the whole film is not speaking. Do you think that would be a good thing to take on, and that could be used even though it's like non-speaking and it's just pretty much acting in a way? Like, do you think that would be a good?
I do. I hear, you know, as you're trying to build out whether it's your resume or whether it's your reel, um, I think it is important to I'm not going to sit here and say take everything. I'm not going to, because that's a blanket statement that I just don't think without thought or knowing each individual project is worthy of saying take it all. But I think you have to give it a real strong look, because even these roles that are like non-speaking as you're trying to build up your career, the producers and the creative who are attached to that you're going to be on set with them, just because, they're not going to like take all the non-speaking parts and just like put them in, one side and then not interact with them. There's going to be everybody like meshing together and interacting. So that could serve as, it's like you're basically using it as a mixer, an opportunity to like mingle and schmooze and make connections. So I do think there is value in that. And also, if the part is substantial enough, even if you don't, let's just say for your example, you don't have any lines, but you're in a few scenes or even one really good scene, that moment can be used in your reel just in a different capacity. Like it could be, a scene in a bigger reel, and it's okay that you don't have a line or two or whatever. So I do think the consideration should absolutely be had.
Because I was asked to be, the whole film was like non-speaking, but he said I was asked to be the main character. It's
Yeah.
like I was like, this is my first
I mean,
thing.
that's a little unique, but I think if the entire project is non-speaking, I think it could, if it's shot well and it's done well, I mean, and it's a cool character, even though there's no dialogue, I would give it a run.
Yeah.
If you really like,
Mhm.
it could be an opportunity. I wouldn't discredit it solely based on the non-speaking of it all. I would look at it from a wider perspective and be like, is this advantageous to my career?
Yeah.
Even if there's no dialogue, I still think there's a world where it can be.
Because it was like some Halloween film and I'd be a vampire, and I just wanted to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, that would be my advice. I mean, Halloween films, vampires, that's popular.
Okay. All right.
Sure. Let's see here. Anybody else?
How important is
With
somebody's brand or how well they are able to work with on set?
That's two questions, or the second, because the second one I can definitely speak to more. I think the brand stuff kind of goes with that as well. Was that you were asking two questions because you cut out in the beginning?
Yeah, so how important is it for someone how easy they are to get along with on set?
I talk about this all the time with my clients, whether they are just starting out or whether they are, someone who's on a series or someone who's, in movies. It is incredibly important that what you do on the outside of action and cut, which is, when you're acting, what you do around that means almost as much as what you're performing. People remember like how this person acted, how kind they were. That stuff travels, and it absolutely gets back to the people that are making the decisions, and also by your reputation and your brand, which Jeremy led in with, is a reflection of that. I think the relationships that come from you working on set, and that is any set, no matter what it is, whether it's a small student film or whether it is, a TV show or an independent film, the way you handle yourself is going to definitely follow you as your career grows and grows. And taking pride in how you want to be viewed is a characteristic that I think more and more actors should appreciate. And you know, the ones that do, it does make a difference. I have seen in certain experiences where, you know, actor blah 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 is someone who people are like, hey, I just don't really, you know, they're good, they're great, but their energy is not the best, and that sometimes does make or break who gets the job. And I think it also speaks to actors have more fun when the energy on set is fun. You know, I think caring about, like, you know, the other people you're working with and just being like a good human and compassionate to the, you know, whether it's the other people or the other actors, is beyond important. And it creates the best environment, and it also creates the most like collaborative environment, because it gives you an opportunity to be on an even playing field just from a kindness standpoint, which opens up ways where people are more vulnerable to ideas, and where people are more understanding, where it's like, okay, this is a team, you know, it's a little like, not to sound corny, but it's a little like rah rah, you know, everybody's like all for one together. And I have seen it where someone's been brought on for, you know, just acting capacity, but they end up making a, you know, piece of, like, giving a piece of advice, and it completely, like, hits for the creative or the producer, and they use that in a larger capacity because they have, you know, seen this person act, and they're like, they've seen them act after their scenes are done and how they act, and just the good nature of their, you know, who they are, has led them to be like, oh, okay, like, yeah, hang out with me, you know, on set when you're not working. And then it just brings everyone in, and it lets people trust you more. If, you know, if the way you act on set isn't like, and I'm not saying be like overly nice, I'm just saying be, you know, a good natured human, and that will go a long way. And in this early stages of all your careers, where, you know, things are, it's just starting, things are just cooking right now, you want to continue that. And your reputation, no matter where you are career wise, is super important. Just the, you always want someone, and I tell all of the people I represent this, you want them to associate your name with great actor and great human. You do that, and you're in the best position possible. Yeah, that was a really great one, Jeremy. Thank you for that. Any questions in regards to just, you know, the temperament on stage, or the, you know, just the socializing in any capacity? Luna, right? If I mispronounce your name, I apologize.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're all good.
You've talked a lot about how to act at a casting, but I just want some tips on how to get like an audition, because I live an hour away from Vancouver, and I've been having a hard time to actually find something, like where to audition. So I was just wondering if you have like any websites or like tips to find something.
Yeah, I mean, so you're an hour outside of Vancouver, you said?
Yes.
Okay. There are the Actors Access up there. Are you on that?
I've heard of it, but I'm not on it.
Okay. I think that would be like a good place. You know, in the States, it's Actors Access Breakdown Services, but I know the projects come out in Canada as well on their own Canadian platform. And I'm pretty sure the Actors Access goes through Canada as well. So I would look into that and create a profile. It's very easy.
Okay, great.
And you put up, a couple headshots. I would recommend putting up, whether it's, even if you don't have, let's say you don't have a reel or footage so far, and that's totally fine. I would recommend taking something that you've watched that you feel confident in making your own self tape for, just so it's, create your own self tape. And then you put that up on this page, because I will tell you, and maybe this is like a little secret, but it does put you in a better position to have materials in your profiles. And that goes for anybody. Based on the algorithm they have, it definitely, and there's no rhyme or reason why, but I know if you have a headshot, a reel, and like a self note, it, for whatever reason, does increase the probability of being seen. So as long as you have one of all those things, I think that is the best thing to do.
Okay,
Now,
great.
why is that? I don't understand. I don't know the algorithm, but I have, been told that that is directly from, the people running the company and the site of whatever platform this is, through Breakdown Express or Actors Access, that it is a better thing to do. And as a second part, to your question, I would submit on everything. Like, if you're trying to get auditions, even in a smaller capacity, everything, student films, independents, like obviously TV and film that of, like in Hollywood, that are like, or even in Canada, that are super, higher profile. Obviously you're going to submit on those, but I would do even student films. That gives you an opportunity to just work it out and flex a muscle.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that would be my piece of advice for sure.
Great. Thank you.
Yep, you got it. Anybody else? Shoot.
So when you say like reenact, like from the scripts, so it's kind of like on TikTok when the people do like dances and recreate the dances pretty much, and then pretty much just recreating the lines, like from like acting in like different, you know what I mean? It's pretty
Definitely.
great. So it's pretty much
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I think that is which is I'm glad that we got to this point through this conversation and this question. So basically, yeah, I think even if you don't have a reel, or you are trying to get things, book jobs, creating your own, and creating, whether it's, shooting something that's still, I think shooting like, a scene or something, or trying to make your own like little movie, is a little more difficult unless you have, the money and the cash to make that happen. I think that might be a little more too big. Excuse me one sec. Hold on one sec. Sorry about that. So yes, I think creating your own self tapes, and just as, whether it's an exercise or a way to use that on your submissions through the platform, I think would be a very good idea. So there are definitely websites out there where you can just get the lines and basically the script and the sides and stuff like that is just free. So take something that you enjoy, something that speaks to you, and kind of just just reenact the scene. Now, when you do that, don't do it the way like you're trying to impersonate what you've watched. Whether it's like, let's say for example, it's Matt Damon in a movie. Don't do a Matt Damon impression. Do you, and how you would bring that to the table. You're not doing a Matt Damon impression. You're doing your own version of that. because it will only be the best showcase of your ability while you're trying to, one, get auditions, and two, get footage for people to see of your work. So that would be my advice to creating your own like reels in a way. And then if you sign up for class, and in class, if you and a scene partner are working something out and you're like, oh, this is really good, I'm enjoying this, I have a great scene partner, I'm working it out, and don't be afraid to put it on tape and use that. There are so many times where a self tape or an in class sample can be used in a larger capacity. And as an agent to a variety of actors, I use it all the time like that, and it works. So that's what I can speak on that. Yes.
Is that me?
Yes. Yeah.
So just talking about the self tapes and how like TikTok was mentioned here, I've seen something about people doing like self tapes as voiceovers. What do you like think about that? Like reenacting a scene from a movie but using the voiceover of a sound, like lip syncing to the sound.
So you're essentially, I'm trying to just, if I don't get it right, just correct me. So basically it's lip syncing to a movie.
To like a scene in a movie. Like
to a scene in a movie.
I've seen people do that, but I don't know if that's like a good idea or not.
I mean, if you want to do that in a fun way to put on like your social media, that's not a bad idea. That's fun. That's totally acceptable. I wouldn't recommend you doing that and then using it for trying to get TV and film jobs. But for social media, sure, why not? Have fun with it. It's definitely a way to create your own, more content and stuff. So yeah, definitely do that. But to use it as like a showcase of a self tape or a showcase of TV and film, I probably wouldn't. But I think it does have it could be a good opportunity for social media. Just not, I just don't think the TV and film space where it would be good. Now, if you want to take that same scene and do it with your own voice and you acting it out, go for it.
Okay, yeah. Because I'd seen it and I was like, to me, it didn't look like a great like idea, but I'd seen a
Sure.
couple people do it and I was like, wait, does this like actually work? So I was just wondering.
Yeah. No. I think it's a great question.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely. Anybody else? Okay. Hey Jeremy, should we open it up? Maybe how do you guys usually
Yeah, do you guys have
finish?
any other questions for Adam that would be industry related? Anything like that you think that he hasn't touched on so far?
Yeah, and this could be piggybacking off what Jeremy said. This could be anything, whether it's not, the auditioning space, just about, the entertainment world in general. Feel free.
What's your opinion on the continuous acting classes or things like that, workshops?
I think they are insanely important. I think especially if you are not in Los Angeles or New York, where it's like the hubs like that. I think it's good no matter where you are. But I think it is good, especially if you're outside of those two spaces, because it gives you an opportunity to work out that muscle. It's like anything, whether it's jump shots in the gym before a basketball game, or like a driving range before you get on a course and play golf. It's the same kind of thing. You got to work out that muscle. And especially if you guys are just starting out, or have been in, the game for a little while. I think it is good because you also get to meet people that are like-minded, have a drive to want to do this as well, and you never know where it could lead to a new writing partner. Or it could be, you meet somebody and they're your scene partner just for the day or the class or even, a few classes, and that person ends up knowing this person. And you're like, oh wait, I know this person. And then it just connects the larger world of entertainment and makes it, a little more connected to that. So I think I would do as much as possible. Now I don't know if there are like many different versions of that, and then I would I would do as many as possible, and I would do one, but I wouldn't jump from class to class. I would do the entire run at one place if you are, so to speak, vibing with their program and you enjoy the teachers and stuff like that. I would stay there, get that under your belt, and then move on to something else, and then I would mix in the workshops. I would probably recommend the classes before the workshops, and then once you have a few classes under your belt, then I would mix in the workshops and classes at the same time. So that would be my recommendation, because you also want to, these workshops that you go into, you want to feel as confident and as prepared as possible. So I think getting your footing and your confidence at a level where you are pleased with is a really, really important thing. Yes, Luna.
So, I was just thinking about how you were saying the self tapes, but like I figure skate and I also do martial arts. So could I film a video of me doing either of the two sports and like upload that as well
Um,
as like a
in sh-
headshot situation, so that like whoever's like trying to, if they're getting like a figure skating movie or something and they need like an audition, could I put in a video of me actually figure skating?
yeah, I think that's special skills like that, whether it's, figure skating or whether it's martial arts, I think are extremely good to highlight. And there's a variety of that. That is absolutely acceptable, where if you have, you want to film something that is a compilation of you, on the ice, or, doing martial arts in any capacity, whether it's, at a place or in a, in an audition while you're acting works too. But even if it's with no acting and just a highlight of the special skills, and that goes off for, anything that is considered a skill that you feel extremely confident in, I would definitely do that, because you can never go wrong having too much footage of like all the things you do right. It only enhances, like, okay, this person can do this really well, like, and here's proof.
Okay, yeah. Also, the only thing I've had trouble with is I did have an audition, but I've worked over the years to get rid, because I speak fluent Spanish. It's my first language. So I've worked over the years really hard to get rid of my accent, and I feel like I'm just wondering if that would be something that might like in some way like barrier my like potential of getting an actual like job or a movie.
You're saying the
The whole like,
accent would,
because I can like hide it pretty well, but like you can still hear it. So I feel like maybe some movies would be like, oh no, you have like a slight accent, so no.
well, I think working on that and like is good. If that is your goal, is to, have that accent in your everyday life, and then when you're acting, be able to turn it on and turn it off. I think, leaning in on that is important to do when you're in class, or whether you're just like out and about and you're like choosing to not, talk like with the accent, and you want to really just practice when you go out, practice when you're, at school. Like I
Yeah.
I don't think that's yeah, I think that's a really good thing because you also want to put yourself into a situation where it's more spontaneous as well, because that will just, the muscle memory will be there.
Because then there's also like the British actors that can just sound completely American. So I
Right.
just think like being able to like switch it on and off might.
Yeah, I think that's definitely factual, and it is. Yeah, but it doesn't happen overnight. It definitely takes practice. All the professional UK actors who lose their accents and stuff, they've worked tirelessly at that.
Yeah.
So
You
yeah,
can
I
you
think just
can't
keep,
hear mine that much anymore, but it used to be pretty thick.
sure, yeah, keep at it. I think it's solid.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Dante, right?
Hi there, and mom.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
So
So yeah, go on.
we're from Toronto, and
Okay.
Dante literally just starting out. He just joined Next Star Productions, and this is maybe our third workshop, and we're preparing for our showcase in February. And
Oh, lovely.
yes, and one of the requirements is a 30-second monologue. And he's never done that before. I mean, he's done some acting in little school plays, but so I guess what we're looking for is some good advice on how to prepare for that since he's not done it before.
Absolutely.
And where to search for something that he would like and connect with, so it'd be easier for him to memorize and put himself into.
Yeah. No, totally. And you said it is in what's the time frame from now until then?
February?
Oh, okay. February. So
Yeah.
you have this is perfect. You have
Yeah.
a nice amount of time to think about um a topic or like a genre
Yeah.
that you enjoy. And it could be something, whether it's your favorite movie, and even in something where it's like, let's say an animated movie,
Yeah.
but there's
Okay.
there's a monologue in there that is just, Dante loves it.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's really funny, or whether it's heartfelt. Um, I think that is absolutely fine. So
Mm.
I would have, being that you do have a good, you have a solid, this is the perfect time to get like, the juices going and to think
Mhm.
about it.
Okay.
I would think about, get a few, get like two, get like three. You don't want to have too many options.
Okay.
I would get three, and then give it, I would get all the, like, whether it's the script or just the monologue, and whether you print it out, handwrite it, whatever is easier for Dante.
Yeah, that's
Um,
the trick. Like trying to get that. The written part is something easier for him to look at and
sure.
practice,
Yeah.
right? And so how to access that, that's another step.
I think there are ways to get the transcripts and the actual scripts online and free of
Oh,
cost.
cool.
I don't necessarily know how open that is to the public, but there's also, I mean, this is a very old school way of doing it. I mean, you could just you could just handwrite it,
Well,
and
I'm old school, that's fine with me.
yeah, yeah. I think that it could totally be, and it could be something fun for you guys to do together.
Yeah.
Where you're watching it, and yeah, you're pausing it every so often.
Yeah.
But I think that could also be a way for both of you to do it together, and just, I mean,
Mhm.
honestly, just a fun activity.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. So to
Awesome.
that point, I would get three,
Okay.
and then I would think about it, where, why this one is the better idea, why I like this one, and honestly, just play with it for a few weeks,
Okay.
and you can play with a couple at the same time. Like, don't, and then you can see together, you'll be able to be like, oh, this one is speaking to me more. Give
Mhm.
yourself an opportunity to understand why you like this one better.
That makes sense.
You know, if you, let's just say you choose out of the three, you choose two, you're like, okay, I want to take these two and I want to give it a go and ultimately decide on one of them. But
Okay.
by doing each of them, you're gonna one is going to ultimately win. So I think that would be my piece of advice.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, and it sounds like a great a fun activity with you two, just you know, pausing and just writing things down and just playing with it. Just play with it.
Okay.
Have fun. At the end of the day, that's really important.
Thanks so much, Adam. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. Yeah, Sebastian.
I was just gonna ask, I've been in a few different sets before, and I've gotten along with pretty much everyone, but if there
Okay.
was a scenario that you didn't really get along with someone, how would you deal with that?
Let's see. If I was putting myself in the actor's shoes or as like the rep of if I was your agent, would you want to hear that perspective or would you want to hear if I was the actual actor
Like
in
if
the
you were the
position?
actor, like what would
If
you
I was
do?
the actor. Okay. So feel free to jump in and correct me, you know, as we play out this scenario together. So, all right, so you're on set and after, you know, your scene is done, you have an interaction with someone that doesn't feel great or doesn't go the way you want it to, correct?
Mhm. Yeah.
I think at that point, I think it's important to if this is like, you know, if you're done your scene and then something happens where you're just like, okay, this isn't great, but you're leaving shortly and it's obviously, you know, something that you feel you need to talk to someone about. I mean, always feel confident in talking to whether it's one of the creatives or one of the producers or someone, whether it's the first AD or one of the crew, just about the experience. Don't feel that it is going to be a negative for you for speaking up like that. I think it only helps by communicating. Like that's the biggest thing is communication is super important. And don't be like in that moment. I understand that it could be difficult to be like, okay, this is you know this is happening, but I don't want to like you know I don't want to ruffle any feathers or anything like that. But, like if something happens that makes you uncomfortable or in any capacity, speak up. Yeah, immediately talk to somebody, whether it's someone in the crew, be like, and if you don't want to do it like in front of all them, just pull them aside. Be like, hey, can I can I have a quick chat? And then just feel confident in that. Yeah, never feel that you can't do that and speak up. Like, absolutely. I definitely think you're always in a good position when you communicate, and you're putting yourself, you're being fair to yourself too.
All right. If, for example, like if
Yeah,
you asked me before if you wanted to be in the actor or agent shoes, what would you do in the agent shoes?
I think if an actor came, you know, if an actor came to me with, be like, hey, I was on set, this happened, so and so and so. I mean, my immediate thing would also be to do the same thing that I've instructed you to do, and to is I'm calling the producers, I'm calling the creative, or anybody like that. And if it's like a higher profile studio thing or you know a network thing, I'm calling everybody to communicate what experience you've had and to try to make it better. I think
Okay.
that is because once again, it leads me into, you know, communication and the communication that you have with also your representation. Always share. Like don't feel the need to keep any of this in. I think it's very important whether we're talking about self tapes, whether we're talking about on-set experiences, whether we're talking about acting classes, headshots, etc. Communication with your team, no matter who they are, is insanely important.
Okay, yeah.
Good question.
Is that okay? Thanks.
No. If you have something else, feel free. I think that was great. Anybody else?
For anyone that doesn't know, do you mind explaining what AD means?
Yes, that is the assistant director. So there's the first AD, the second AD. There are members of the crew that also, help out the actors. I think that is it's always good to remember with these, whether when you're on set, that the crew are there they have a job, but they're also to make your situation feel the most comfortable. I think that is something to realize, like that it's a team. It's like in an acting class that I was saying, where you guys share ideas and share, topics and things like that. On set, people want to share too, and they want to share the experience, and everybody wants to help everybody out. And I think you can always lean on people like that. Even if you're doing a student film, they have, an assistant director, they have, all these crew members, and they have a director, there's a writer, and there's someone producing as well. So even, down to a student film, I think it's always good to know who you have on set, so you can best be served working with them. So that would be a good plan of attack, to have knowledge of that. Anybody else? Yeah, Luna.
Sorry, I've had quite a couple questions. But I have a question about the whole like being able to like cry on command. Is that like a good advantage to have?
I mean, it's a skill that I think definitely is useful, in the right, setting, for sure. That's definitely something where you can tap into that emotion. Absolutely. I think that's great.
Even if it's like
Is it
emotionless, but you can just like make your eyes like start tearing. Is that
sure?
like
Yeah,
could that be like a positive situation?
I absolutely don't think it's a negative.
Okay,
It's
great.
yeah. I mean, it's a skill that separates you. Not everybody can do that. So I think that is a positive.
Yeah, because like crying scenes with actors, I realize how some actors just don't cry on the spot, but then there's people that can, and I feel like that might be like a positive situation.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely, it's a good skill to have.
Okay, great.
That is
Just wondering about
absolutely
that.
for no.
Because
Yeah, I
usually,
think
what do
that's
they like use to get the actors to cry? Is it like a certain like just tear like fake
yeah,
tears
there's
and
like
stuff?
like a tear stick and
Yes.
like other things like that, or like an onion. Yeah, there's a variety of things people will use. But as long as you can, do that, and also still keep the essence of the character and the dialogue, I think that's the best course of action. And that goes, with anything, whether it's like an accent that the character has, or you're doing a self tape, and you know the location of the script calls for somewhere in the Midwest, and you're like, okay, I think there's an ability to bring in a Midwestern accent, or it's in the South and there's a Southern accent. I think there's nothing wrong with leaning into that, as long as it keeps the essence of the character. and the dialogue too. And that doesn't get lost along the way. You know, if you're like, hey, I can really nail this accent, but I can't I can't do it and bring the dialogue to life in a big way, then you got to kind of like find that balance. But I think making sure that you have that balance is extremely important.
Okay, yeah. Thank
So
you.
yeah, that was a great, yeah, good lead in to a larger conversation.
Thank you.
All right, let's see here. Hey Jeremy, I don't think, looks like we don't have any questions at this moment. Any direction on how you want me to close this out? Any questions that you have that you would like me to talk to the group about?
Do you have any recommendations that people should stay away from when doing auditions or looking for representation?
Let's see. I think when you're doing auditions, let's stick with that. Improving your own dialogue is sometimes not the best idea. I think making, like I said in the beginning, making different choices with that dialogue, great. I think actors run into issues when they go too much off script. And that goes, you know, with auditions. And then sometimes it could be when you're on set too, unless you know that like it's understood and it's welcomed when you're on set. And for an audition, until you get to a stage where you know for a fact that going with completely different dialogue is accepted, I would not recommend doing that. Adding your own personal flavor, absolutely. Bring that to the table every audition you do. Changing the dialogue, I would not recommend doing that. I've seen it. It never works for the actor. And it kind of catches people by surprise when it's not asked for. Now, if it's be like, hey, improv and have fun, great, go for it. But yes, sticking to script for auditions, stay on script. It would definitely be in your best interest to do that. And then when you're looking for, you know, whether it's a representation, whether it's a manager or an agent, I think sending material is totally acceptable. I think you have to also remember, don't forget to like include these things that separate you from other people. Like, you know, there's a lot of people in entertainment, regardless of where you are internationally, whether you're in Canada or the US. And you need to do it in these emails that you send out to people with your material. You want to put as much uniqueness to your emails, and that's special skills. And don't BCC everybody. Like send individual emails to people. Don't just do a mass email. I've seen that. I've seen that a lot of times. And it's just you put like everyone's email in the to box, and then you press send, and it just goes to everybody at once. My recommendation would be do not do that. I think it's from the, you know, an agent or a management perspective. I think it doesn't put you guys in the best position. So send a personal email. You know, be yourself. Be honest. Make sure to highlight whether it's a self tape or, you know, a new batch of headshots. Make sure to highlight that in the beginning. So I think that's the most important thing. Any questions on that?
No one has any other questions for Adam?
All right.
Oh,
Well,
then I guess we're done.
well, I think it was, yeah, I really like this, group of you guys. I think, I hope that I put you in a position to have learned a little bit, to also ask ask questions and be curious. I think are two things, that will serve you well in this, no matter, whether you're auditioning or on set, etc. And yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's important, like I said, with self tapes, just have fun with it. Like, don't, like, that's the main thing. I tell my actors this all the time. Just have fun. Like, whether you're doing a few takes, one take, have fun with it. And then you press send and it's out there. But at the end of the day that you had fun.